the city where Henry Dunant's vision today stands as the huge building that dispatches angels of mercy all over the world. I have come here to ask the International Committee of the Red Cross for justice for the people of Balochistan. I have come to urge them, please bring Balochistan, the land of the Baloch, on the agenda of safeguarding the international humanitarian law. There is a war going on in Balochistan. Not many people have heard about. That war is the war of liberation. Baloch have an issue. They are not Pakistanis, and no amount of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, or torture is going to change their stance on the national identity. A paragraph from a news item may give some understanding of what is going on in Balochistan. The paragraph reads, I quote, "The victims were shot in the forehead and a bullet passed through the skull, besides signs of torture on their faces, hands, and other parts of their bodies. Their hands were also tied to the back of their body with ropes." Quote, "I have attended several bodies. All of them were killed in a similar way," said Dr. Bakr Shah from the Bolan Medical College Teaching Hospital. Enforced disappearances in Balochistan continue unabated as the situation worsens, and the recovery of the number of bullet-riddled bodies in Balochistan right now is at an all-time high. I must congratulate Amnesty International's Sam Zarifi for noticing Pakistan's human rights violations in Balochistan in a report published in the last week of October. The Pakistani government must investigate the torture and killings of more than 40 Baloch leaders and political activists over the past 4 months, Amnesty International said. Activists, politicians, and student leaders are among those who have been targeted in enforced disappearances, abductions, arbitrary arrest, and cases of torture and other ill treatment. The violence takes place against a backdrop of increasing political unrest and Pakistan army operations in Balochistan, southwestern part of Pakistan. The Pakistani government must act immediately to provide justice for the growing list of atrocities in Balochistan, said Sam Zarifi, Amnesty International's Asia Pacific Director. Baloch political leaders and activists are clearly being targeted, and the government must do much more to end this alarming trend, Mr. Zarifi said. Among the latest victims of the ongoing violence are Fakir Mohammad Baloch and Zahoor Baloch, whose bodies were discovered in the district of Mastoom on 21st October 2010. Fakir Mohammad Baloch, a poet and member of the Voice of Baloch Missing Persons, which is, you see, our local allies in Balochistan, was abducted on 23rd September and his body was found. Zahoor Baloch, a member of the Baloch students organization Azad, was abducted on 23rd August. According to media reports, both received a single bullet wound to the head at point-blank range and showed signs of being tortured, the Amnesty International said. The discovery of the two men's bodies is part of a growing trend of kill and dump operations. Bullet-ridden bodies of those who have been abducted, many showing signs of torture, are increasingly being found across Balochistan. Previously, the bodies of missing persons were rarely recovered. Yasin Baloch, a member of Voice for Baloch Missing Persons and brother of Mujib Baloch, senior member of the Baloch students organization Azad, who had also been abducted, was shot by unidentified gunmen near Roshar-e-Khalar on 10th October. I myself had spoken with Yasin Baloch a month earlier in September in connection with filling out the form of his brother for the United Nations Working Group on Enforced or Involuntary Disappearances. I was really impressed by his enthusiasm. He was a true Baloch patriot. I asked him which secret agency abducted his brother, and his response was the military intelligence. I very well recall he even mentioned the 333 Brigade for carrying out worst atrocities to the people of Balochistan. The victims' relatives and activists often accuse the Pakistani security forces and intelligence agencies of carrying out these violations, the Amnesty International said. A previously unknown organization, Sipah-e-Shuhada Balochistan, has also claimed responsibility for some of the killings. These are mercenary groups who want to impose Islam on people who are not very fond of Islam. The Pakistani government's ongoing failure to prevent abuses has emboldened the perpetrators beyond these atrocities, said Sam Zarifi. The Pakistani government must show that it can and will investigate the Pakistani military and frontier corps, as well as intelligence agencies, who are widely accused of playing a role in these incidents. Amnesty International warned that the rise in enforced disappearances and kill and dump incidents has aggravated political tensions. Other prominent killing of Baloch activists since July include former Senator Habib Jalib Baloch and the lawyers' bodies that my friend just mentioned. According to the Geneva Conventions and additional protocols, civilians must be treated humanely. In particular, violence to the life and person is prohibited, as are all kinds of torture and cruel treatment, the taking of hostages, and the passing of sentences without a fair trial. The armed forces must always distinguish between civilians and combatants, and between civilian objects and military objectives. It is prohibited to attack civilians and civilian objects, and all precautions must be taken to spare the civilian population. It is prohibited to attack or destroy objects indispensable to the survival of the civilian population, example, foodstuffs, crops, livestock, drinking water installations, and irrigation works. It is prohibited to use starvation as a method of warfare. All of these methods are being used in Balochistan today, and it is one of the least reported struggles. Unfortunately, all such atrocities and even worse are happening under the very nose of many international bodies, including the ICRC. Just a few days ago, I met some ICRC officers who had described this conference as, I quote, political. We protested, they apologized. The ICRC has now promised that it will look into establishing a 24-hour telephone hotline in Baluchi and Brahui languages to immediately probe cases of extrajudicial killings, enforced disappearances, and torture. We welcome the good news from ICRC and hope it will not be lost in some bureaucratic files. I know some of our Baloch friends make very nice speeches at such gatherings, but that I'm sorry to say they are not here today. The main reason is that they tell the world what is going on, how, where, when, but miss out one of the key elements, one of the key W's, and that is the W for the why. The answer to that is the Baloch do not call themselves Pakistanis and want Balochistan to be free. This yearning is not against the international law and must be respected by all parties and states and organizations. One of Pakistan agencies most active in committing crime against humanity in Balochistan is the Frontier Corps. The Frontier Corps fully supports Taliban operations inside Afghanistan. When they come to Balochistan to commit their crimes against the Baloch people, the more secular among the Pashtun population jeer at them. They ask them, why have you come to kill innocent people for so little money? These Frontier Corps soldiers get $80 a month as salary. And these Frontier Corps paramilitary people respond, we are here not for money, we are here to serve Islam, as the Baloch are against Islam. Baloch may be pro or anti-Islam. It does not give Pakistani authorities the license to kill them. The International Voice for Baloch Missing Persons was launched in August on the call of Farzana Majid, the same Zakir Majid's younger sister. While I ask the world to help Balochistan, I must also insist to Baloch brothers and sisters, they must unite, as they have no choice, because if we have a fire at home, how can we fight the enemy? I would please request this House to help me and please pass one resolution, which I am going to read, and if you agree, you please say yeah. The United Nations must act now and intervene in Balochistan to stop the crimes against humanity being perpetrated by Pakistan's military intelligence and inter-services intelligence. If you say yes or
yes.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amir and Mr. Khan. May we open the floor for questions?
As a human rights campaigner, I'd be very interested to hear from you actual concrete examples of what you think international organisations like Amnesty International can do. We can issue reports, we can issue press releases, we can lobby, we can issue videos. I mean, we've tried a number of different campaigning techniques and tools, but given the complex governance structure of Pakistan, it's very difficult to promote change. Do you have any concrete ideas in terms of campaigning techniques and tools? I'm preempting my own presentation a bit, but I'm just very curious to hear from you about any ideas for change.
Yeah, the latest statement from Amnesty International, these kind of statements will, I think, help bring in the change. And the change can be in many ways. Sometimes we have great respect for some of our friends who are progressive, who are secular. They understand our pain a lot better than the fundamentalists. In Pakistan, you see, this is the Baloch. Baloch think Pakistan will not change for the good. It will only get worse. This is what we have been experiencing.